Episode 7. We're at episode 7.
I love this freaking episode.
I did too. It was so good. I was so happy to see Mark and Gemma looking happy and healthy. That was like the first thing that like
there were a lot
lifted
of
my spirits.
Like there were a lot of Daddy Mark memes going on.
Oh yeah, I did actually. So I was looking at different articles that were like recapping the episode, and a lot of people were they like Adam Scott, which I feel like when Parks and Rec was on, people liked Ben Wyatt, and people were like, "Oh my god, it's like he's Ben Wyatt. It's not even like Mark Scout anymore." And can I just say the fact that Mark Scout and Adam Scott, those names are too similar. His name is Scout. No, his name is Scott, but his character's name is Scout, and it's so confusing.
I was gonna say, like in I think the last episode, one of us was trying to say his name and we couldn't get it right because we're like,
we kept calling him Adam
which one
Scott
is it?
or Mark Scout or
Mark Scott.
So confusing.
Right.
I'm like, they couldn't have picked a different name. I wonder why they chose that. Maybe because he just wanted a name similar to his own name. I don't know.
I'm not sure. It could have been somebody that Dan Erickson worked with.
A character name like Mila instead of Mykah. It's like, oh yeah, that's me.
Or Mykah.
As opposed to, Mykah. There's a backstory to that nickname.
It's like an inside joke.
Might be on another video. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Anyways, episode 7. I'm gonna do a quick 2 to 3 minute recap.
Let's go.
I'll try not to talk too fast though, but you know how I am. So. All right, so in episode 7, we dive deep into Mark and Gemma's past. We begin on a college campus where they were younger, not super young, but I'm assuming like in their mid-30s. That's kind of the vibe I was getting.
Yeah.
And they're happier looking, they're healthier looking, like I just mentioned. They're both college professors, which is interesting. I didn't realize, was that talked about in a previous episode and I missed it?
I think they may have mentioned it.
Or she was, a Russian literature teacher, but I was like, oh, he was also a teacher. And they meet while donating blood. So this flashback shows a different side of Mark. He's dressed dapperly. He's got like a suede suit on. He's looking more like Ben Wyatt than Mark Scout. Their love story unfolds in a montage filled with romantic moments from playful gifts. Like I said, I liked plants, not ants. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah.
To Gemma seductively drawing Mark's attention away from grading papers. But things take a darker turn when we learn that Gemma was once pregnant. That scene was a killer. So the tension ramps up after a miscarriage and a failed IVF treatment at Lumon. Then we realize that Lumon has obviously been involved with the fertility journey the entire time. But the question for me is like, why was this all orchestrated? We don't have answers yet. But we do know that Gemma wasn't working for Lumon when they first met, which is good. In the present, we witness Gemma's disturbing experiences on the testing floor of Lumon, where she is subjected to bizarre psychological tests and shifts from different entities with no memory of the past. Each room she enters seems to trigger a different version of herself, and I think there are 25 rooms total, that means she's been severed 25 times, guys. I can't imagine.
Wow.
So one of them is like the dentist office that's like... nobody likes the dentist, right? Like, I don't like the dentist. My mom is terrified of the dentist. All the way to like a Christmas card signing, like 1950s scene. One of the things that I did notice that was interesting is they seem to be in a different era. Like one scene looks like the 80s, one scene looks like the 90s. I don't know what the relevance of that would be, but maybe we're gonna find out. Anyway, so like I was saying, the purpose behind these experiments, we don't really know. It's weird. She attempts to escape from her treatment, but is stopped by Mr. Milchek, and I'm talking about Gemma here, not one of her 24 alters. And of course, Mr. Milchek is there because he's everywhere, like freaking Milchek. And he's like, oh, you were actually you were leaving an art exhibition and you got lost and went down the wrong elevator. Obviously, that's not what happens, but she believes him and turns around. And then she's back into... before she even remembers what happened, she's back to Miss Casey. And then as we move back into the real world, Mark is struggling with the aftermath of his fainting spell. Devin is convinced that reintegration is going to kill him. She wants to take Mark to the birthing cabins, that is what she calls them. But Dr. Ragabi is like, heck no, for whatever reason. I guess because she's talking about getting Cobell involved, and it seems Dr. Ragabi and Cobell like butt heads. Yeah. But I feel like Cobell butt heads with everybody, so... then in a cryptic moment, as he's kind of like waking up out of his slumber, he says Chikhai Bardo, which is a phrase that connects to Lumon's strange puzzle cards. The phrase is also Buddhist and it means ego death, or it's like the first stage after the body physically dies, like in Buddhism. So maybe that will be relevant. But essentially that is the episode. The timelines converge at one point where we see, we go back into the past and we see Mark scene when Gemma was confirmed dead by the police, and we kind of get that scene of what it looked like for him. And then there's like that nice camera pan where it goes to Gemma and then she's crying, and it was rough. Yeah. It was rough. But yeah, that's the gist, really.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. The whole entire that whole episode was like. First of all, I was very surprised by the testing floor. I thought it was going to be way more brooding and dark and like more sinister.
To me, that's even worse because I feel like a lot of people have a fear of hospitals, or a lot of people I talk to have a fear of hospitals. So the fact that it's all sterile and white and there's like nothingness, like to me, it reminds me of a hospital. So I'm almost like more disturbed by that than I would be like in like, I don't know, what were you expecting, like chains on the walls? What do you mean by like dark?
I was expecting it to look like kind of, the texture that Irving's paintings have. Like when he's painting, because like that's the hallway that leads down to the testing floor. Right. So I kind of expected.
I think it's just the hallway that's creepy.
Right.
I guess it's just the hallway that's dark.
Well, I expected like the walls to look like that, and maybe like I don't know, like pods like the Matrix. Like I'm not even really sure what I expected, but I expected it to be darker, not like individual rooms that she goes into where she gets severed into all these different versions of herself.
Yeah. Right. And again, like I was saying, the 25 different versions, and we don't see all of them.
Right.
I know there's one in an airplane, and where that would be the worst one for me because they're experiencing terrible turbulence in the airplane.
Right.
I feel like I would simply not be able to, Gemma must be made of super strong stuff. And that's how she's able to deal with all of this. Well, I know it's not her, but
she does say, Gemma herself says at one point something along the lines of that she's doing it for Mark, like because I guess they told her that if she does all this, then she can get out and go see him. So she doesn't know that he thinks she's dead.
Exactly.
So
which is another big yeah.
And then the fact that her she getting severed into all these different personalities. Reminds me of a show that Joss Whedon did a long time ago, and it's called Dollhouse.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, so it's basically a bunch of like blanks, these people living in like a building called the Dollhouse, and they're all blanks. And then they have these hard drives that have different kinds of personalities on them, and they would lay down in a chair, and then they would load a personality into them based on whatever the client needed. So on one episode, the client needed like the best hostage negotiator. So they laid the girl down, they created a hostage negotiator personality and put it inside her head. And then
so I just looked up that show and guess who is in the cast of that show?
Who?
Gemma. She's an actress
really?
On the show. She's on the first page of actors, yes.
I
don't know how her name is pronounced. Deacon Lockman?
Yeah.
She's in that show.
Now, all right, you know what? Now that you're saying that, I'm like, I think I remember seeing her in there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I wonder if she brought that up. Well, you know what? Okay, so I listened to the podcast of this episode afterwards, and they had her on it. And she didn't mention Dollhouse at all. I wonder why. Because like there's so many similarities, and if she was in it.
Right. Like, she's always in trippy shows, though. Altered Carbon. I feel like she's really good taste for the jobs she takes.
Or she just really likes like psychological thrillers.
Yeah. Now I have to watch Dollhouse. Was it good? Why was it canceled?
Well, it's a Joss Whedon show. The Fox never knew how to handle any of his stuff.
Right, because he was Firefly too, right?
Yeah, Firefly, Buffy.
Yeah. Well, Buffy went on for years.
Right. So some of his stuff was good, but then other things, not that it wasn't good, but some of his stuff got praise, and then some of it Fox was like, nah, we're good.
Right. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about her 25 different severance lives. One of them, she's constantly going to the dentist. One of them, she's constantly citing Christmas cards.
Yeah, she did mention
they're all like
at one point
miserable.
Right. It's just like these little mundane things, but she does mention in one of them, because the guy's like, it's Christmas, and she's like, it's always Christmas. Because
Yes.
that's all that personality knows, is that they
Right,
keep
right.
bringing her in there for Christmas.
Right. He's that guy, Dr. Mower, I think. Mauer. I think it's Dr. Mauer is how his name is pronounced. He's the same guy in every room, but he's just, like, you realize that, right? Apparently some people didn't realize that was the same person.
Yeah, no, I did. I just didn't know his name.
Okay. Yeah, I think Dr. Mauer is what she called him. But yeah, he's like her husband in one of them. Seems almost kind of like weirdly obsessed with her, specifically in the version where they're husband and wife and they're signing the Christmas cards, or he's forcing her to sign all the Christmas cards.
Right.
He's like, "Tell me you love me," as she's trying to leave, and she's like, does she even do it? I can't remember now. I don't think she does.
I can't either, but that...
Or she does it begrudgingly.
That leads me back to my my theory that they're trying to see which feelings and which like memories and stuff can't transfer over in Severance, because that's why I think that's why he was like, "Tell me you love me," and she's like, "But I think subconsciously or whatever deep down in there, she's like, I love Mark." So she can't say it, but she doesn't know why, probably.
Right. Yeah, no. Yeah, very interesting. And before I saw all the rooms, I thought there was just like a few.
Right.
I was like, oh my god, is it the four temperaments, like malice? I'm like, and they're dealing with all of them, and it's like she's being tested on all of them, but since there's 25 rooms, but like fear, like the airplane.
Right.
The dentist is fear, I would imagine. But I guess that's not the case. I mean, I guess it still could be, and they've
also got the 9, what are they called, principles or something like that?
Yes.
So that's probably another thing that they're doing as well, is going over that stuff too. I think that all of that, the 4 and the 9 are like all mixed in together, and they're trying to like figure out how to single out individual ones or combine them, and so how to control them essentially.
Right. I also think it's interesting that they have different outfits for her and like wigs for all the different rooms. I'm trying to figure out what the purpose of that would be.
See, I don't pay attention to hair, so I didn't notice that.
Oh, you didn't notice? Oh my god, yeah, she's got like she's got like a bob at the dentist. It's a cute bob, it's a chic bob.
Right.
And then when she's a flight attendant or whatever in the airplane, she's got like almost like I don't know if it's 80s or 70s kind of like little curly style that's kind of up here and then like flicks out on the sides. And then when she's the Christmas card, it's different every scene is my point. Her outfits are different. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I'm like, I'm freaked out for a paragraph about like, or a couple sentences about the turbulence. Like, turbulence is too close to home with all the plane stuff going on right now.
Right.
Although most of that is private planes, which is normal. I don't want people to like fear. I don't want to try to fear monger people or anything like that. But it's just,
right.
I don't know. I'm never one of those people that is super comfortable flying. It's just the loss of control.
Right. Yeah, I don't like it either. I actually, I was in an airplane flying to San Diego, and I was too big to put the seatbelt on, and I didn't want to ask for a seatbelt extender.
Oh, shoot.
So we lost altitude. We probably dropped a couple 100 feet in a couple seconds.
God.
And I literally came out of my seat and hit my head on the ceiling.
Did people panic when that happened?
Yeah, kids were screaming and crying, like stuff was everywhere. It was
God.
It was terrifying.
So like they had served food and everything. No, yeah.
Well, no, not food scary. And stuff, but it was like people's stuff, like iPads and phones and like video game systems, earbuds, like whatever you would have in your seat or your lap or whatever, cups of whatever. It was everywhere because I literally like you have to drop really fast for me to come out of my seat.
Yeah, you said that. I remember you've told me the story and your head hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
You said?
Yeah, and that I wasn't like standing up.
Were you okay?
I mean, it hit
like
I was fine. I mean, it was like standing up and hitting your head on like the bottom of a cabinet or something. But yeah, I got hit in the head with like a 12-ton jet.
Oh my god! Yeah, yeah, and I've never been in turbulence that bad. I was leaving Punta Cana a couple years ago, and it was pretty bumpy, like as we were going up because it was storming.
Right. Once you get above the storm, you're usually fine, but
right. It's the going up and then going down that are the most difficult, I think. But yeah, totally understandable why she was like panicking in that scene where the whole plane is like constantly shaking.
Right.
yeah, it was like experiments for how to live life without pain. That's another thing, a note I made. I was like, maybe they're doing all of this because they're trying to, like you said, they're trying to figure out how emotions transfer. But is there a way that we can prevent like the brain from experiencing these types of things? Like, can we sever pain?
Right.
Can we sever anxiety? Can we sever annoyance?
Well, that was one thing that I was mentioning in one of the episodes. Is they're like, one of the things they can do is sever out fear. And then they can create an army, sever out fear, sever out empathy. And then now you have an army of people who just are murdering machines and they don't have any emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. We have enough of those. We don't need any more of that.
But yeah, so I think that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I'm really curious how they're going to like wrap everything up in 3 more episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the last episode being super long is going to help with that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
We'll see. Another thing I did notice when I was watching the episode is they're showing the different rooms. Like, they have like the 25 names for the rooms, and one of the rooms is Cold Harbor. We don't get to see that room.
Right.
Theoretically, maybe that room is her car crash.
Well, they
like
said that
drowning.
They said that that's the only room she hasn't been in yet.
Right.
So yeah, I have a feeling that it's something like that. Something about dying or being dead or something like that. Or since Mark, they're so adamant about Mark finishing it. I wonder if it has something to do with him. Like maybe. Well,
yeah.
They're gonna have like a clone of him or something in there, and then. Not
maybe they're gonna be like in the car together or something.
Yeah.
Like. And one of the things that Dr. Maurer does do when they're like having like their kind of one-on-one session with Gemma, like as herself, is he asks her what's more scary of frightening her, being suffocated or drowning.
Right.
Or was it suffocated? I can't remember.
Yeah.
And she says drowning, and I was like, oh, well, that makes sense because apparently she's drowned in the real world. So.
Right. And a lot of people equated that. I read about that. A lot of people equated that back to. Irving shoving Helly's face into the water.
Yeah.
And she was drowning.
Yeah. That's possible. At that point, too, I think, like, I don't know if it's that same meeting or at the meeting kind of towards the end of the episode, she's meeting with Dr. Maurer again, and she's basically like, I want to see Mark. Can I go home? He is telling her that Mark has remarried and has a child with somebody else, that he's forgotten all about her. I was like, why would they do that? That's terrible.
Right. Well,
I'm like, that's not ethical. The whole show is not ethical. But
so you can't say that about anything in the show. That's not ethical because literally it's the whole show.
Yeah. But it just seemed exceptionally perverse and cruel.
Well, you know how when she was Miss Casey, I think it was in season 1, she had said like she's only been alive for like some number of hours.
1,000 something hours, yes.
So how long has Gemma been down there? Like how long does she think it's been?
Right.
So because it could have been like, not only could they have like severed her into separate different things, and like the 2 years that have passed, she thinks it's only been like a couple months, and then they're like, hey, Mark's remarried, and she's like, after a few months? Like what? But also, I wonder if they can mess with time.
He says something vague, like, it's been a long time.
Right.
Like, what is a long time? A year?
So
is a month?
I'm wondering,
long time?
I'm wondering if maybe they can mess with time the other way and make her feel like time has passed. A lot of time has passed. Like 10 years or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, she should be able to see 10 years on her face.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, she could look in the mirror and just be like, wow, I have a really good skincare regimen.
right. Like, yeah. She is such a beautiful actress, too, to me. Like, she just has a cool face. She looks otherworldly and almost like, she has a look that, to me, looks like the future. So I actually understand why she would be casted, because she looks like she's from the future.
Right.
Just, like, the bones of her face.
She's very, very pretty, yeah.
Yeah. But essentially she ends up, he's saying, no, you can't go. So she takes a chair and knocks his
butt out. She like
whacks the crap out of him.
That came out of nowhere.
Go Gemma. Yeah. No, I was like, holy when I watched it.
Yeah, I kind of jumped a little bit when that happened.
Egads moments. And she starts to dash, and that lady nurse, that her face just ticks me off. I don't know why. follows after her, but she manages to get into the elevator and go up, and then of course Milchek finds her, and yeah,
he says,
we
"Oops."
know what happens with it. Oopsie.
Some of the
yeah, I know.
I really think it's interesting, like how basic their lies are with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, Innie took a wrong turn and got in the wrong elevator." Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's a good liar. He's fast and cool, and yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be, though.
Yeah, especially if that's gonna be your whole job, is just to lie to everybody.
Yeah. I don't understand how everybody doesn't talk about him being creepy, though. Like, I feel like
Milchek?
The second I was Helly on the table, and I, eventually met Milchek, I'll be like, that guy's a creep. Like, he's really weird. I mean, he's just happy all the time. And he has this kind of monotone voice that's just really unsettling. He doesn't seem like he blinks. Like, it's just, yeah, Tramel Tanner?
Tillman?
No, I'm butchering. Tillman. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
great actor, because he's like happy and full of life and like sunny and like
right. And he has to play like a
fluctuation in his voice in real life.
Yeah, he has to play a completely emotionally dead person.
Yeah, just hi guys.
I think they train that kind of all those emotions out of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why he's that
possible.
way. Also with the regimen that he has of like doing with the paper clips and the grow kind of stuff, like I think he's been trained to tame his own temperaments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gemma has tried to escape a lot. Oh yeah, my theory is like Gemma has probably tried to escape multiple times at this point. She resorted to violence on the last one.
Right.
And yeah, she's in a, I don't know, she's essentially like a captive and she knows it at this point.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah. That's why she hit that dude with the chair.
Right.
I misspoke.
But she just keeps trying.
I misspoke earlier when I said that Milchek told her that her innie had taken the wrong turn. Because when she's down on the testing floor, she's the outie. And then when she goes up to the severed floor, she becomes her innie again. So he was telling her innie, he was telling Miss Casey that her outie had taken a wrong turn.
Yes. Yeah. I got what you meant.
Yeah. Well, I had to correct it because I didn't want to sound like an idiot in the video.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. If there's any show you're gonna sound like an idiot or like misspeak, use the wrong name, anyhow, like it's the show because there's just so much going on.
That's true.
But one thing we kind of skipped over is the whole beautiful like courtship kind of time.
Yeah, the flashbacks.
Gemma and Mark. Yeah, I mean the episode opens with that. They're getting the blood drawn, I'm assuming they're giving blood.
Yeah.
It's a blood drive and not like they're there for testing. Yeah, it's amazing that was filmed after probably the other episodes, but he looks so much younger and like brighter there just because.
Well, so I have a couple things to say about that because again, I watch all the behind the scenes stuff and I listen to the podcasts and stuff. So first of all, his beard was fake. That wasn't real.
What?
Yeah, that was makeup.
Why?
Because I guess maybe they
didn't want to grow a beard.
Well,
it's a good fake beard.
Either that or they wanted it to be a specific type, and maybe he couldn't grow that way. Because some dudes grow patchy beards or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's that. But also, I found out that what they did was, if you look at the behind the scenes of the actual like office where they work, you know how everything's like really muted colors. If you watch the behind the scenes, they're bright. Like the grass is bright green. But since they're going to color grade it and remove a lot of the saturation, if they made it that dull green, then it would go to it'd be almost gray. So they wanted that green to be there. So that coloring and stuff messes with their skin as well. So that's why he would look so gaunt and like not so healthy, but also Well, I was going to say, technically Mark himself never gets any sunlight.
Yeah, no. And also seems like wherever they live, this universe, it's like Seattle or somewhere like dark and dreary kind of a lot of the time. But I actually watched an Instagram reel of some girl that lives like 10 minutes from the like Lumon.
Yeah, the headquarters.
The actual building. Yeah, and that was super cool to see. It looked completely different in real life.
Oh yeah, they said they've done they did a bunch of stuff to it, like digitally to make it look a specific way. But yeah, they were very excited when
Right.
they found that place. That was the very first building that they found when they went scouting.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were excited
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. How does one find these places? Like, do they just go into Google, like, dreary, large college campus, old hospital,
Well,
abandoned, like...
they hire they have location scouts, and they do it for a
Gotcha.
living.
Oh, I want that job. Oh, that sounds so fun.
They do that for a living, so they go around and look at all these different places, and then they make connections and their networks and stuff, and then they'll be like, hey, they put it out in their little their scouter sphere or whatever, and they're like, hey, I'm looking for this kind of building. Do you guys know where I can find one? And then somebody's like, hey, we got this cool looking one over here, you know, and then they go drive out to wherever it's located and check it out.
Yeah, no, that sounds like such a fun job. There's so much. I think, sometimes I'm like, do I just quit my day job?
Right.
Just go work as like somebody's assistant so I can somehow mesh my life into something like a show like that. But yeah, it's so cool.
Well, if we can get this channel to be successful, then we can have those positions because we'll be having the money coming in, and we'll be able to quit our day jobs and do this full time.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So Jim is a Russian literature professor, and Mark, like, you can tell that they have chemistry like the second they meet.
Right.
They fall in love, and it's over like this cute little montage. And then we learn that Gemma they're at like a dinner with Devin, and she's like, oh, do you want more wine? And Gemma's like, and she's like, are you pregnant? And she's like, no, or something like that. I thought that was cute.
Yeah,
but then like
she covered her glass and was like, she didn't want her to pour any. Yeah. And this is what I love about their way of storytelling. Nobody said anything. It was the looks on their faces and the little movement that was like, this is what I'm going to address the people who are outside of this video right now. This is what they mean in storytelling when they say show, don't tell. Like, she didn't say, oh, I can't drink because I'm pregnant. She covered her glass.
And then they also,
Devin was like,
everybody knows Gemma's pregnant.
Right.
Yeah.
So she covered her glass. Devin looked at her, was like, because, you know, you're at a party, you want to drink. And she was like, she covered her glass. And then Devin did this like little look. And then Gemma was like, then she did a little eyebrows thing. And then Devin was like, oh, no way. And then you completely understood what was going on. Yeah. I get chills thinking about like when people are so good at their jobs. Like the way that they wrote this and told that story. Like I've got chills right now because it's such a good moment.
Yeah. No, it's definitely excellent writing, excellent storytelling for sure.
About the flashbacks. I was listening to the podcast and they said that Ben Stiller went with Deacon and Adam. I'm trying to like get their names right. And they went out and shot this stuff, and they had a very special camera that they used. Like it wasn't none of the effects and stuff on there. I'm sure
somebody said it was recorded on film. What does that mean? I have no idea what they meant.
It's by actual film. Like
okay.
So you know how right now we're recording to like digital, like it's storing it in the SD cards. This is. Have you ever seen a strip of film that has like the little frames on it? That's what they.
So that's literally what that means. Okay.
Yeah. It's actual like so.
For the layman.
The film has it's covered in like this is a tiny little filming lesson. It's covered in like an emulsion that reacts to light. So the shutter speed, it opens up the shutter, which lets the light in, and then it blocks it again. Then it opens it, and then it blocks it. And each time it does, a new frame moves in front of it. It opens, lets the light in, blocks it. A new frame moves in, opens, blocks it, and then that's how each frame is shot. And they literally shoot it on film. So it's not like not like tape. You know how like you have the VCR with the VHS tape. That's like that's an analog medium, but it's like stored magnetically. This is actual like photons stored on a piece of cellophane. Right. And that's also how they're able to take old movies like Star Wars and stuff like that and make them like 8K without losing any quality, because all they got to do is just shine a brighter light through it and pull it back further away and make it bigger. That's all you got to do. Or put a bigger sensor in there or something like that to make it 8K, because you can essentially scale that up as big as you want and you'll never lose any quality.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, good to know. I didn't know that. So.
But yeah, no, they went out and shot that on that special camera because they wanted those looks. So there may have been a little bit of touch up, but like the majority of what you see was real. Like all the little cinema, like the effects, like if there was any film burn or like dust grain or anything like that, like scratches and stuff on it, like all of that was real. So the cinematographer, she told Ben, she was like, I want you to take this specific camera and go out here and shoot it. I don't want you to shoot it on digital. It needs to be done on film because they wanted a different look.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
That's my kind of stuff that I like to know. So hopefully a couple other people can nerd out with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. To turn into a depressing direction off of that. Obviously, we know that she ends up having a miscarriage.
Yeah.
In the shower. And
I had like a whole moment where I was literally like, once that blood starts coming down her leg, I was like, no.
Yeah.
So
mad.
mad.
She was on the toilet. I just like, I know that generally that's very common.
I was so mad.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I knew it probably had to be coming.
Well, because they don't have any children that we know of, yeah.
Right. Unless you're assuming that theory
Miss
that
Wong?
somehow, Miss Wong is their child.
I think she's a clone or something.
Yeah, that's what my mom thinks, that she's a clone of Gemma, a younger version of Gemma.
Little do you know, your mom and I have another podcast going on outside of this one.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
We've already done episode 7.
That's funny. But yeah, she loses the baby and they end up going to the Lumon fertility clinic, and I would say that's when things really definitely start to go wrong.
Yeah.
For them, probably the biggest mistake that they made in their lives, potentially. Knowing some of what I know. And they start fertility treatments, but it seems like it's just not working.
Now, my question is, was it not working, or did they make it not work?
Right. I think, like I was saying, I think this is all strategic, and they're like, hey, we have these people here. We also have their blood.
Right.
We're also trying to do this.
And they're in
like
love.
The perfect couple to try this out on. Yeah. So
it's awful to think that if that's real, like if that were to happen, I'm sure it has happened in real life, something similar to this. But that's literally, you get one life in this in this world that we know of. And like they're going to ruin it because they're like, we want to test this out on some people. Like who do you think you are?
I didn't sign up for this,
Right.
Surely there's somebody that's wild enough that they would be like, yeah, I consent to this experiment, but I don't think either of them actually. I think he was offered the job after Gemma died.
Right.
They disappeared Gemma. And then I don't know what they must have showed him to believe that he saw her body. Maybe it was a clone. Maybe they...
Yeah, because he said he identified her body, right?
Right. So we know he saw her dead body.
It could have. It could have been her.
We didn't see it, but...
Like unconscious.
Yeah.
With the technology that Lumon has, they could have just made her look like she was dead.
Made like her heartbeat super duper slow and like not noticeable. Yeah, maybe.
They could have put her into like a medically induced coma or something.
Yeah, it's possible. And then cremated her. Maybe we don't know what happened with her remains or whatnot. So. It would have been hard to do an open casket funeral, even to make sure she's knocked out real good. Right. I've actually read stories, and apparently I don't know if there's truth to some of this, but people waking up out of like this was years ago, like in
the 1900s,
maybe like the 1800s, like late 1800s, early 1900s. Apparently, people would wake up in their coffins at their funeral.
Yeah, they started putting like bells underground so that they could ring them.
So in case, the deceased person woke up and God, being buried alive seems a lot scarier now. We don't do the bells anymore, so. Well,
we have pretty good ideas to know if people are actually dead now.
I know, but what if they just wake up? I mean, there's somebody. How do we know? What if somebody buries somebody 100 years from now and there's claw marks on their...
That's what they did. They dug them up, and that's how they found out that they were still alive, is they had exhumed a body or two and found out that they were trying to get out.
Yeah.
Because like I'm fairly claustrophobic. And I watched what was that movie that I asked you about? The Descent.
Yes.
And it's not the scary movie. It's the like movie about going down in the caves.
It's Descent, not The Descent, folks, where there's the creepy underground
and they're
people. That's a different movie.
They're all crawling around in there, and some of these, like, I want to say tunnels, but it's literally just like pieces of earth that are like 10 inches tall, and people are squeezing through them, and I'm like, nope. I can't imagine getting stuck under the planet.
No,
because you can't move that. There's no way to get rescued out of there. So I'm fairly claustrophobic. You bury me alive, I will lose my mind.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
you definitely would, and I'm sure everybody else that has been buried alive did.
well, there's also no light either. Like you imagine, like if you think about being buried alive, you can see what's going on, but like you wouldn't know that you were buried alive.
No, you're in pure darkness. Yeah.
Yeah, you would just know that you're in a box underground. Not even underground. You just know you're in a box and it's dark.
Yeah.
That's just terrifying.
It is.
How did we get on this tangent?
I don't know, because we were talking about Gemma's body, if she was open casket or not. But Gemma's not gone, so that's not even relevant. We kind of already hit on all the crazy stuff with her escaping or attempting to escape the Lumon clinic.
Right.
The oh my god, what is it called down there? The testing floor. Yeah. She attempts to escape the testing floor. It doesn't work because milkshake. Milkshake. I feel like doing that all the time. Yeah, milkshake. I feel like I sound like the teacher in Fairly Odd Parents, where he's like, Timmy Turner, milkshake, Seth. Yeah, but sorry, did you say something?
I was gonna say, like, what did I guess Gemma was just in a daze, in like a state of, she's like, I have to get out of here, because like does she not know that if she goes up the testing floor that she's gonna turn back into Miss Casey? Or did she?
I think maybe she knows it's a possibility.
No, she has to know, because
get far enough that. Yeah, but she's hoping she can still get far enough that, and Miss Casey will kind of keep going. She didn't anticipate somebody being there.
Well, it just hit me that there are, if you said there are 25 rooms in the testing floor, right?
Yes.
So she has 25 different versions of herself, or 26?
Yes. 26, I guess, including herself.
So in this instance, there'd be 27. Because she's also Miss Casey.
Right. And Miss Casey isn't one of the rooms, probably. So
right. Because so she was Miss Casey when she would go. So Gemma would know. Unless the severed floor is one of those rooms and she doesn't know that that's what she's doing. And I'm adding layers on that.
Oh, so you're thinking she walked up to the severed floor?
No. I'm saying, like, maybe one of those rooms that she thinks she goes into that Gemma thinks she goes into for testing actually sends her to the elevator up to the severed floor. Yeah.
Oh no, I think so for sure.
Okay. So then.
And then she's Miss Casey. Yeah.
Okay. So then.
She has a wig. It seems like.
Right.
Like, yeah.
So then Miss Casey isn't an extra personality. It is one of the 25.
Yes. Yeah. In that case, it would be. Yeah.
Okay. And actually, I wanted to ask you, since you brought it up about the hair, one of the first things I wanted to ask you, but it slipped my mind until just now. I was gonna ask you, what did you think about the flashback hair?
I liked it.
Yeah.
It felt like a real person's hair.
Mark's hair looked really good. And I just,
so much better.
I just noticed it because I was like, I need to talk to Mykah about this.
Yeah. She'll notice the hair.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's going to be the first thing I'm going to ask her, is that.
Yeah.
But then it was like the 38th thing I've asked you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I noticed that they looked better. I think her hair definitely had some highlights. I mean, she looked kind of like the Miss Casey in the pictures.
Gemma.
It seemed like her natural. Oh, sorry, Gemma in the pictures. It seemed like
you put some respect on her name
and everything. Yeah, Gemma, not Hannah or whatever.
Right. I wonder if Hannah's one of the personalities.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Like, does she have names in those rooms, or is she just like the name of the room? Like, I mean, that's a good question, because I mean, she has to though, because if how much identity does she have?
Right.
Yeah, my name's Jessica. I'm at the dentist 24 hours a day.
Well, she's whenever she goes up to the severed floor, she's Miss Casey, so I guess she's gotta. I would assume she's got to have names in each one of them.
Yeah. Be a lot to keep track of for them.
But
like I would, and that guy, like you would think he would slip up sometimes, call her by the wrong name since you've got 25 different names in these rooms.
Well, maybe he's doing the same thing the Milchik does, where he has to like refine himself and make sure that he doesn't slip up.
Right.
And I'm sure he has reviews as well where they. Did you notice, like, we didn't talk about this before, but did you notice how, like, specific that book was for his review?
But, oh, Milchik?
Yeah. Like, it wasn't just, like, paid.
It was tailored to him.
Yeah, but it was, like, one book that was designed and printed specifically for him, because it wasn't just, like, standard pages, like printer paper. Anyway, that doesn't matter, but I noticed that, and I was like, holy crap.
No, that's the kind of, that's
the kind of stuff that Lumon does.
That they give to their individuals, obviously.
But yeah, I'm sure.
If I got that performance review and there was like a whole folder for every F up, especially when it's as simple as a paperclip being clipped the wrong way, I would just, no. People tell me I'm a perfectionist, but no, there's much worse.
Not to that
there.
degree, yeah.
No, absolutely not.
So I was thinking about all the rooms that are down there, and I feel like my theory was correct for, obviously it evolved over time as we did each episode, but I feel like my theory was correct that what the macro data refiners are refining is not a chip, but a scenario, or a personality that Gemma's down there testing. So each room is obviously one of the
They're refining, I think, like an experience, like the experience of fear or the experience of pain in your hand if you're writing 100 Christmas cards.
Right. But what are they refining then? I mean, they can't be refining like physical things. So I think it's still part of the chip.
About it,
yeah.
Like I said, like the annoyance, the fear response.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's related to that room. Because when she goes into a room, the refiners have been refining what her chip or anybody's chip does when it is severed into that scenario or that whatever, you know what I mean? Into that specific room.
Right, yeah.
But then that leads back to like, why do they expire? Like, why do the files expire? And then why do they only get to like 75% of some of them and they don't get them completed?
Well, one of the interesting things is she's the only room she hasn't been in is Cold Harbor, and that's because
it's not completed.
Mark is still refining that room, right?
Right.
So what is he doing to make that room eligible for her to be able to go in it? Like, what makes it a
right?
It's
but it's
I don't know.
And it's interesting that it has to be Mark. Because they give each refiner a different file.
So Irving didn't work on Cold Harbor at all. Dylan never worked on Cold Harbor at all.
Not that I know of. I think it's only been Mark.
Okay. Gotcha, yeah.
Because they refine the file, and then that's how they get their perks and stuff, is if they refine the file all the way, they get a certain perk for how far they refined it before it expired.
Right.
So, what happens to the ones that aren't 100% refined? Does it go to another refiner? Does it go to another location? Because, there are different Lumon branches everywhere.
Right, yeah. I don't know, man. So much to figure out in 3 episodes.
Right.
But we're going to learn. I'm so excited for the finale. I feel like I need to get, like, a Severance t-shirt. Maybe I'll cosplay. Maybe I'll try to find Helly's hair or something. Because you just need, like, the blue top and the little, like, badge.
Right.
So we can find, like, a red... Wait, I do have like a strawberry blonde wig, but it's too short.
Does it have like bangs on it?
It does have bangs, but it's like about this short and it's straight. It doesn't really have any texture.
Right.
It was for my Shania Twain cosplay.
I remember that. So since you mentioned it, I'm gonna pop it up on the screen now.
I love that cosplay. My grandma made that outfit and she did a fabulous job. And it's made of velvet, just like her real outfit was in the music video.
It looked really good. I remember seeing that. How many years ago was that?
I think that might have been Halloween 2021 or 2022, so 4 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that when you posted it. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, loved it. And I managed to get all this hair in a little, like a teeny bun, like I did it when my hair was wet.
Right.
And I brushed it as straight as I could, just like, and I was able to do a little like ballerina bun on the back of my head, and I was able to wear the wig without there being a problem.
See, I always wonder, like, when people have like hair as like voluminous as yours is, like, and then in a movie they have to be bald, like they have to really flatten that hair out and put a bald cap on
either
them.
shave it or, I mean, I know a lot of women like braid their hair. That is extremely painful.
I'll bet.
I haven't straightened my hair in a while. Maybe, next time.
No, leave it
Not
curly.
next time we film, but yeah, no.
Leave
I
it
don't want to
curly.
confuse people. Yeah.
They'd be
I don't
like,
wanna
is this?
confuse
They'd be
people
like,
either.
oh,
Like,
is this
who's
Rob's
that?
other podcast with Mykah's mom?
Right. It's just my alter ego. Yeah.
So do you want to? Are you done? Do you have all your? You had all your stuff? Do you want to wrap it up?
I think we're good. I think we can wrap it up. I kind of went over what happens at the end, at the beginning in my review. We don't have a lot of details yet, but Mark woke up and he said Chikhai Bardo. What will that mean for
Did
him or Devin or Ragavi? I have no idea. Yeah, another thing of note is the card, right? That Dylan seems to have stolen that has this. It almost looks like a yoga position or a kind of like workout position.
With the arrows
or maybe
telling you how
some
to
weird
like turn
cult
and stuff.
religious thing. I don't know. Who knows? But it's called Chikhai Bardo, and that's what Mark seems to be saying at the very end when he's finally waking up out of his. I guess it's not a coma. Is it a coma? What qualifies a coma from like fainting? I don't actually know.
I think it's the duration, but I don't know where that line is.
Right. Yeah. When does a fainting spell become? Because I fainted. But
It's like, at what point does a taco become a burrito?
I deal with that every time I make like white people tacos too.
So you
like,
roll
I'll
it
be
up?
honest. They're good, and I like actually like use lots of seasoning and stuff. But yeah, I almost make like a
little burrito,
like a taco burrito. Yeah, on a flour or corn tortilla.
Right.
Yeah,
Corn's the
tortilla,
best.
not tortilla. That one's.
I've heard
tortilla
tortilla and I've heard tortilla, and I used to work with a girl who used to say tortilla.
Tortilla.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
love
like-
that. That sounds like a beautiful name. Nice to meet you, I'm Tortilla.
That does sound kind of sweet. Okay, so the move was
Yeah.
the move called Chikhai Bardo,
Yes,
Is that what that is?
I believe so.
and then you said it
Yes.
was something about the Buddhist.
But it also means it has a like in Buddhism when you have the physical death, that's like the first stage of death, and essentially Chikhai Bardo is what happens after your body physically dies.
Okay.
So stuff we don't know about.
Right.
It's like a spiritual thing.
Okay. So
So
that's interesting.
yeah, so that's the last thing he utters, and it's on Lumon's weird card. It also can mean ego death. I don't know if that by ego, like the Buddhists mean like that's like kind of soul, and maybe ego and soul.
Yeah, because
are
you're.
one. I don't know.
Is it
Yeah.
your ego essentially like kind of like your personality?
Yeah, in a way,
So-
it's your own view of yourself.
Yeah, so that makes
right?
sense. It's like
Yeah,
you're
self-perception.
dying to yourself.
And we see him opening his eyes, and then we get like a flashback of him. I think it's the police coming to the door after Gemma leaves, because at the end we're getting that scene where she's like asking him to tell her he loves her, and then he gets the news that she's been in a car crash on the way. I mean, they don't say that, but again, good example of showing.
Right, because the police are walking up. So
yes,
are you saying that Gemma was asking Mark to tell her that he loves her?
she was like, "I love you," and he didn't say it back. So maybe that's me perceiving
Well,
it. She says something like, "I love you," and he doesn't respond at first.
right, but does that
Yeah.
have anything to do with what happens in that one room in the testing floor? When
Maybe.
that guy says basically, "Tell me you love me."
Oh, tell me you love me. Yeah, there is an interesting connection there. Yeah. And I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Weird.
God, we got to watch these episodes like 40 times just to do a good episode of this.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But then it
Yeah.
ends, right? Like with like a little tight shot of just her eyes.
Yeah.
Wait, in one of the flashbacks, are they in the shower?
He is holding her after her miscarriage, and he's like holding her, and they're like rocking in the shower.
So actually, did you notice that was backwards?
What was backwards?
The water is moving upwards.
I didn't notice that. No.
Yeah, they shot that,
Huh.
and then they even mentioned how hard it is for actors to do things in reverse
Yeah.
because
Yes, so-
they have to be like at a certain mental state at the end
Yeah.
that they should have been at the beginning, but it's different. Like, So it's yeah, that was, it caught me off guard at first because I was like, wait a minute, that's moving, the water's moving up. So I literally backed it up and watched it again. And then when I listened to
I just need to start listening to this darn podcast. I listened to the episode with Dax Shepard and Kristen
Stewart.
Kristen Dunst.
No,
It's not Kristen Dunst either. It's Kristen Bell. Why are there so many Kristens in Hollywood?
Too many
it's
famous
like the
Kristen.
most common name, but I only know like one in real life. I don't get it.
It's just funny that you last time you said Stewart. This time
now I did Dunst.
So you went from what was that movie called? Twilight down to Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Kristen Bell. And she's probably my favorite out of all of them, so it's kind of a bummer that I
Kristen.
give her the wrong last name all the time.
Yeah,
I love The Good Place. I think The Good Place was an excellent show.
Very, very good show.
Yeah.
And the twists just keep coming on that show.
Yes, they were great about that. And I don't think I saw it coming either.
I didn't either.
I love that when you're like, ugh.
Right.
This is the bad place. Anyways. Speaking of this is the bad place, the Severance universe, this is the bad place.
Everywhere
this
is
could
the
be
bad
hell.
place.
This could be a spin-off of The Good Place.
Right.
Just somebody else's version of hell. But I think that's all we have. Unless you had any final thoughts.
Nope, that's it.
No. Yeah, that's all we have. We'll see you hopefully in a week or less. Life has been busy. We've been sick. Life happens.
Yeah, that's why these are coming out so late. It's just because it's
sporadically.
So much going on in our lives.
Yeah. It's hard. Being an adult is hard.
Yeah. All right. You want to?
Yeah. As always, please enjoy each episode equally, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye, guys.